Hey, what's up? This is Adam Agee, and you're listening to the Overflow Beyond the Music podcast.
I won't worry about tomorrow.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Overflow Beyond the Music podcast. I'm your host, Josh McCabe. Thank you so much for listening in and joining me here. I am getting over, or I'm not sure if I'm beginning again, a little bit of, the December sort of winter cold cough type thing. So feeling a little under the weather, but I wanted to make sure that we could deliver you guys an episode for the Christmas holiday so you have something to listen to in between turkey and family gatherings or whatever your tradition may be in your house. I'm so excited about 2019. 2019 is going to be an incredible year, not only for the podcast, but for a bunch of other things that I've been working on. I'm really excited about it, and we're starting to line up some guests for 2019 that I know are going to be awesome, as well as some really cool episodes. We're going to look into some different eras in Christian music. And maybe it's a little historical. Maybe it's going to reveal some things you didn't know. Maybe we can find out where some of your favorite artists are today that you may have listened to in years past. I'm really excited about some of those episodes, and we've begun sort of working on those, storyboarding them, and reaching out to some of the guests that we want to have. And trust me, you're going to want to stick with this podcast because there's some great stuff coming. One of the best ways to stay in touch with us is to follow us on Instagram. We are going to be pretty active there on Instagram. You're going to want to look for at the Overflow BTM. That's at the Overflow BTM. That is standing for Beyond the Music. So name of the podcast, name of the Instagram. That's exactly where you'll find us. And hey, I was thinking the other day, and I was thinking even just now as I said that, the Overflow BTM, and I'm trying to pronounce the letters very clearly so you don't confuse with any other letters. And when you're kind of trying to say some letters to somebody over the phone, or you're giving your email address, MCC, and trying to pronounce the letters super clearly. And a lot of people go M as in Mary, C as in Charlie, and you'll try and describe the letter with a name or a word that corresponds with it. The other day, I'm on the phone, and I'm trying to explain the letters, and they're saying S, and I'm saying no, N, or M, no, N, trying to make it clear what I'm saying. And so then I decide I'm going to do the old A for Alpha, B for Bravo, C for Charlie kind of thing to make sure they know. And I'm sitting there going, M as in Mary, N as in Nancy, H as in hippopotamus, W as in Wurlitzer. I'm coming up with these stupid words to describe these letters. And it's every time I try and do that, I feel like I almost spend more time trying to figure out what word I'm going to correspond with the letter. And it's this mental block I have. And I don't know if anyone else has ever experienced that, but I don't know. When I was just explaining the Overflow BTM Instagram handle, it reminded me of how I constantly struggle to think of normal words that start with letters, and it tends to be quite an ordeal whenever I'm on the phone with the customer service or trying to figure all that out. But anyways, enough of my rambling. We got some news to talk about right now. There's definitely a lot of news happening in the area of music, Christian music, and I thought it would be super cool if we did something a little bit different for this segment of the news. So let's run the music, and then we'll head on in there. The news. All right, well, I thought it'd be really cool for this episode on the Overflow Beyond the Music podcast for our news segment to bring in who I would probably say is the guy in the most know for the Christian music world. He runs a website called New Release Today. Would you guys welcome Kevin McNeese on the line with me here? Kevin, how are you doing?
Hey, doing well. That's a nice introduction.
Hey, well, I try, man. I try to make sure that I puff people up. So now you've got some shoes to follow here.
And now we got to deliver.
You got to deliver something. So tell me what's going on. What do we got in the news right now?
We got a lot of news, actually. It's awards season. So the Grammys are just announced, as well as our very own We Love Christian Music Awards. So it's kind of fun. We always time those to be right next to each other, and it's always fun to see those. But we've got, so Grammy Awards are out. Lauren Daigle for King and Country, Mercy Me, Torrin Wells. Those are kind of the big nominees. And then you always get gospel, a lot of gospel nominees with the Grammys. And so
Yep.
you have Jonathan McReynolds in there. Corin Hawthorne is making a lot of news. And then Tori Kelly got nominated. And of course, she did her EP, the big news, kind of reverse crossover with Kurt Franklin. So it's cool. It's always cool to see the Grammys recognize. Now we just got to get them to televise the awards. So
yes, that is very true. We need our Christian artists getting some love, but you guys do a good job of making sure fans can be involved in the We Love Christian Music Awards. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. We're doing our 7th year now, which is crazy to me, but we nominated 68 artists in 23 different categories, and we just really try to open it up to the entire industry. So we have a lot of independent artists. A good third of our nominees are independent, which really makes us different from a lot of the other awards in our circle. And we also open it up to the fans. And so fans can go in and vote, and they can actually put a write-in for Song of the Year, which is a lot of fun. It can be any song of the year to see what song impacted the community the most. So that'll be cool to see.
I love it. Keeping it neutral, keeping it for the fans. That's good stuff. I like that.
Yeah.
Is there any artist in particular you have a feeling is going to clean up this year at the awards?
Well, for King and Country has had a big year. And so they've got 5 nominees, they got 5 nominations in a whole bunch of different categories. And their fans have always treated them well in the We Love Awards. And so I think they'll probably be showing up in droves again this year. But they're the ones to beat.
I love it. So tell me what else is going on.
We've got, have you seen the Newsboys United show?
I have not seen the show, but I can only imagine it's probably pretty epic.
It is so good. And I went into it I didn't know what to expect. But when Peter walked out and started singing all the hits, it took me right back, and it was just an amazing experience. And to see Tate and Peter and Phil Joel up there all performing with the other guys, it was a great show. They did 39 songs.
Wow.
On that tour. So now they're continuing. They're going to be on Winter Jam. They're headlining Winter Jam next year. They've got a Newsboys United album that's coming that all 6 guys have recorded. And they just announced that they will be touring with Michael W. Smith for the Surrounded and United tour. So that's 2 of... Michael's been coming out of the woodworks. He woke up out of retirement or something. He's everywhere.
That is awesome. And I wonder if Newsboys United will stick together for like a God's Not Dead 10 or something like that.
Right. Well, it's kind of paying the bills, so why not?
No, I love those guys. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. So the Newsboys United Michael W. Smith tour, that I'm hearing that right.
Yeah, they're gonna be out. It's a smaller tour, so they're only gonna be out for about 10 to 12 dates. And that's going to happen after the Newsboys United headline Winter Jam. So they're keeping it going.
Well, I think Michael W. Smith has earned enough from his labor over the years to just tour a little bit more sparingly, don't you think?
I do. But he is not slowing down. In fact, he's picking up momentum. He's been all over the place. He was performed at Bush's memorial service recently, and he did like 3 albums and 2 children's books last year. There's rumors that more music is coming and more stuff is coming next year as well. And in my opinion, he's at the top of his game still. And he's just so great to see live, especially in the worship setting. So it'll be really cool.
Well, I got to tell you this. My band Caves, our first ever concert that we started and named the band Caves, we opened up for Michael W. Smith.
Oh, really?
And it was a Franklin Graham event. And he was incredible. And I loved it because he got a bunch of people from the local city and put together a massive choir. Mm-hmm. And there was about 200 voices from different churches in the city. So that was awesome. And man, Michael W. Smith live, he just needs a piano and his hits, and it's great.
It's an amazing composer, a very underrated composer. I think people don't realize what a great musician he is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you got anything else for me? Anything else that's standing out?
Well, I thought we'd talk about new releases real quick.
Yeah.
There's a lot coming in just the rest of the month here, and then heading into 2019. even though it's still a little bit lighter, it's got some big names. The biggest one is Switchfoot, coming
Yes.
January 18. They awoke from a year-long sabbatical, and we're all happy to know that they were working during their sabbatical.
Well, you know what? I love it because I give them respect for not doing, the farewell thing and then coming back a year later. I give them a lot of respect for just saying, hey, we're taking a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, John Foreman has a lot of music coming. He's been writing this whole time. So Native Tongue comes out January 18.
Cool. What else we got?
Bethel Music has a new record coming January 25th, as well as Stephen Malcolm. He's had 2 EPs leading up to this second city album. And so those are the big releases in January, with a whole bunch of other releases sprinkled in. So it'll be a fun start to the year.
And the Bethel Music album, and I'm not sure I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. I hear there's some different music elements in it. My sister works on the team over there.
Yeah.
And so she comes home in a couple days, and apparently I get to have a little listen. So I'm looking forward to that.
Look at you.
I know. I got the hookups with the news. I got the hookups with the early releases.
There you
It's
go.
God has well favored my life, I guess.
Start a podcast and doors just start opening.
Apparently, right? I just basically said, hey, I'm just going to open up my mouth and ask some friends to come on, and we'll just sit and chat for a bit and see what happens.
There you go. Well, thanks for welcoming into your circle.
Well, Kevin, where can people go find all the Christian music news they could ever possibly ask for?
There is more than you could ever possibly ask for at newreleasetoday.com/news. We got it all there.
Well, thank you for joining us. We'll bring you in again another time. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk soon.
Yeah, huge thanks to my buddy Kevin McNeese over at New Release Today for joining me on there. But I got somebody else that's ready to join me. And I got to tell you, when we started this podcast and we wanted to go beyond the music, I figured that one of the best ways that we were going to do that is to involve some people that I know have some great stories, and that I know have been on a journey, and that I believe in their journey, and I believe in where they're going, and I believe in what they're doing. And, really I just wanted it to feel like sitting around with friends, and that's essentially what I'm doing here, is sitting around with some of my friends and people I've toured with or people I've gotten to know over the years. And that's what this has been really all about, just me hanging out with some friends, having some conversations, and hoping that you can get a little window into their life and their journey and understand them better as an artist. And beyond that, maybe you can find yourself in some of their stories. And so we got an incredible guest today, and I'm really excited to bring him in here. So let's head on into our interview today. Here I am with Adam Agee of Stellar Cart, and now solo artist.
So here I am, it's 3 a.m. I don't know where to begin. Time's running out, and there's no doubt that I feel like going in the towel with no way I can get this start finished. I try and wonder why the
All right, so here I am chatting with a good buddy of mine that I've known for several years now. I'm on the phone with Mr. Adam Agee, and you may know his name because he's coming up. Well, he's been on a lot of tours lately, and the touring is something that's definitely not new for him. He was founding member and lead singer and frontman of the band Stellar Cart, and beyond that, joined Audio Adrenaline, stepping in for Mark Stewart and Kevin Max and taking over that project. But now he is pursuing solo career stuff, and he is touring a ton right now, and we are catching up with him on a rare day off for this guy. So how's it going, Adam?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. I guess that the weather down there in Nashville is a little bit nicer than it is up here in Canada right now.
Oh, no doubt. But it's probably still, it was in the 20s this morning, so that's cold for Nashville.
Yeah, man, that is pretty cold. So there's no snow on the ground, though.
No, but we just had to cancel a show in Virginia. We were supposed to play in Virginia on Sunday, but they got like 18 inches of snow, and so we had to drive back through all the crazy snowstorm and everything.
Well, here's what I find funny about snow, especially in the South, and in Nashville in particular, is that the whole city shuts down when like 1 inch of snow comes.
Yeah.
It's
Snow
hilarious
day,
because like I remember being down there a couple years ago, and I was supposed to write with like some pretty dream writers that I could not believe I got connected with. And sure enough, a snowstorm hits, and there's like 2 inches of snow. And I'm driving out, going like, "This is like daily for us back home." But everything got canceled. And actually, funny enough, I think you were the only guy that didn't cancel on me, and we ended up writing a song in one of the offices there.
Yeah, I'm not scared of a little snow.
But that's surprising to me because you are not from a snow climate. You are from Arizona. So did you grow up in Arizona?
Yeah, yeah. I grew up in the heat, but touring all over the country, it kind of acclimates you. And driving a tour bus, if you can drive a tour bus through the snow, you can drive anything through the snow.
That's definitely true. I don't know how some of the drivers do, especially in the mountains. It's one of those things when you're on a bus, you're like, you know what, I just rather not know. I rather just go to bed and pray I wake up.
Yeah.
So growing up in Arizona, when was sort of your introduction to music? When did you first pick up a guitar, and when did you first realize that you had a voice and wanted to use it?
Well, I was a sports kid growing up, and so I played a lot of sports and didn't really. I guess my mom played piano in church when she was younger, and my dad was a pastor, and so she played the piano for the music. But I didn't really gravitate towards music. I did piano lessons for a few months when I was in fifth grade, and then finished my recital, and I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm gonna go play basketball. And then didn't really do much with music until I picked up a guitar at 19, and started playing in our youth group band, and then played at college at Arizona State University. And then that's right when we started Stellar Cart.
How old were you when Stellar Kart started?
I was 19. Yeah, I just as soon as I could switch chords fast enough, we started it, and we started playing songs and uh, started writing songs right away too.
And when it started, was there all four guys sort of part of it? Was it you and just one guy who kind of had a vision, and then you? Because a lot of bands, like it's two buddies who started out, and then maybe back in the old school days, you start putting up flyers looking for a drummer or putting the word out to different youth groups or churches, and I mean nowadays just throw it on Facebook. But
Right.
how did the band kind of all come together?
Yeah, it was me and Jordan. Jordan played drums, and we lived down the street from each other and went to the same church. And his dad showed me a few chords on guitar, and he was the one that wanted me to play guitar so that we could have a band. And so we uh we started playing and just did the youth group thing by ourselves, just me on guitar and him on drums for a while. And then um one of his buddies from Yuma, a couple hours away, would drive in on Wednesdays and play bass for us. And then he knew Cody from school, and they went to high school together. And so he we needed a guitar player, and so he joined the band, and we were off to the races.
What was it about Jordan, like, other than just living down the street from him? What was it about Jordan that you guys kind of connected on? Because he seemed to be in the life of Stellar Cart, probably one of the more steady guys to sort of walk that journey with you.
Oh, he was definitely one of the driving forces creatively, um, and his passion for that style of music, the punk rock stuff, was massive. Like, he loved it. I like all kinds of music. I love the punk stuff for sure. But I have a pretty eclectic taste in music, and he was just down the line loved every single pop punk band there was out there, and the whole style and the culture. And he did all of our merch designs and everything. And so, I mean, he drove a lot of the creative part. And then, in the songwriting process, it was early on. It was me and him. We wrote a lot of the songs together.
I feel like Jordan is probably one of those guys though that he'll be 55 or 60 and have grandkids, and something will come on the radio and he'll just be like, no, let me show you some real music. And he'll put on like Blink 182 or something like that from like, or like one of the Blink side projects. He's like, this is when drumming was great. And I feel like that guy's punk rock through and through. But your tastes have definitely changed over the years, huh?
Yeah, I've kind of always been. I always considered myself a pop guy. Like, even writing and melodies and everything. I was always. I mean, Jordan and I would fight over songs because I'd want it to be a pop rock song or a pop ballad song, and he just wanted everything to be,
Fast.
200 BPM and rage, and so every now and then we'd find that magical mix of our styles, and I think that's what made it so fun and connected with a lot of people, is because we were both just we when we found our compromise or whatever, it was great. And I see that a lot in a bunch of bands. You got two different really strong personalities driving the creative part, and when they get along and connect, then it's magic.
Do you think some of the most, as you look back at the Stellar Cart career, do you think some of the most beautiful product came out of some of the more, I wouldn't say heated, because you're obviously brothers and friends, but out of some of the more intense disagreements, is there something you can think of that came out of just an intense disagreement, but at the end you found a compromise that created something great?
Well, I think it's I can't think of anything specific, but I know that several times he would fight for something, whether it was a design or whether it was a stage set or whatever, or a set list or a cover song or something like that. And I'd be like, "You're crazy, man. That's a terrible idea." But then I'd be like, "All right, we'll try it out." And it would be awesome. And I would be totally wrong about it. And that happened on the other side too. He would get so pissed that we would have to write a radio song. And I'm like, we have to do this so that we can, make sure that we have something that we can play on the radio. And he'd get so mad. And then we'd be able to tour for the next 3 or 4 years because we had a radio song. And so it's like, it was all that kind of stuff, the back and forth of he's much more of an artist than I am. I'm much more of I live in both worlds of the business world and the artist world. And he's just full on artist, creative all the time, which is awesome.
One of the things I remember, because we got to tour together quite a bit over the years, and actually I got a funny tour story that I'm going to bring up and see if I can get your blood boiling again. But I remember, I feel like one of the battles Jordan seemed to have won, and this is more for our musician listeners out there, was that he hated playing to a click track.
Uh-huh.
He did not want to play to a click, and I remember one night I had one of those like DB30 metronomes. Where you kind of tap in the tempo and it gives you like your click machine or whatever. And I used it when I was playing drums there because there's a couple songs we just played at just straight click. And I remember sitting side stage for like 3 or 4 nights in a row and tapping tempo to see how vastly different each night was for the song. And I mean, to Jordan's credit though, most of the time it was pretty close.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't double time, but I remember just that kind of funny thing. He's like, I'm not playing a click, and he just wanted to go fast, and you're just like, all right, whatever.
I'll tell you what, he was fantastic. We played the Dove Awards and didn't play to a click at the Dove
Really?
Awards, and he just, he crushed it. But it would be like 9 times out of 10 it's fine, and then there would be one show out of a run where he would, I don't know if he drank an energy drink or something before it, and he would just go nuts and just leave us all behind. And I would get off stage and I would just yell at him. I'd be like, "What are you doing? You're killing us out there." And he's like, "Man, it's fun." I'm like, "No, it's and then we just have these fights. It was awesome.
Hey, this is James Mead from Cutlass, and we toured with Stellar Cart, like a whole bunch. What was great about touring with Stellar Cart was just the easygoing camaraderie we had between our two bands. We were kind of like instant friends, really. We were introduced by our management team who had just signed them on as a new artist, and I remember the very first night they met us, they actually came to one of our shows. It was like a tour date. And while we were on stage, they like trashed our dressing room, like moved our suitcases all around and threw everything everywhere. And like they thought it would be really funny to just kind of start off our friendship by like messing with us. And that really sort of defined our friendship from that point forward. We were like always goofing with each other and became friends really quickly and really easily. It was just it was always fun. We had fun. We knew what our strengths were together as a tour package, and we knew how to have fun.
Is there a time sort of in that career, maybe just when you were busy, or even at any sort of stage of your musical journey, where it stopped becoming fun because you were tired or just not enjoying what you were doing?
I think it's tough for any band whenever you can't really support your family or uh, be as creative or any of that as you want to be because you can't make enough money doing it. And that's kind of what happened with us. We with when the economy shut down like 2008 or whatever like that, the a lot of the radio stations either went out of business or got bought up by the bigger stations, and a lot of promoters didn't have the money to do shows anymore, and gas prices are insane, and our bus was breaking down, and it's just all everything kind of hit at once, and so we weren't able to sustain what we were doing financially. And I think when there's a financial strain like that, it really is tough, and it takes some of the fun out of it because you're trying to do things to survive versus just being creative and trying to make great art. And I think that's a tough thing that every band has to deal with it at a certain level. Some deal with it their entire career, and some can't get over the hump, and some deal with it early on and then become fine. But I think it's something that everybody deals with, and we certainly dealt with it. And when I'm having to advance the shows and book the shows and drive the bus and order everything and fix the bus and fix amps, and it became a lot of work.
Was there, a time that you can think of that maybe you had sort of compromised what your vision was, or creatively or business wise, to try and stay alive, and you go, man, I wish I didn't do that because that wasn't what I really wanted to do?
I'm careful about going back and oh, if we would have only done this or if we would have done that or
Right.
whatever. I tried to make all the decisions to the to be the best that we could be, and to do whatever we could do, and um, I tried to use the people around me in the business, whether it was producers or label people or management, and you really have no choice but to trust the people around you, whoever's around you at the moment, and try to make the best decision once you've got three or four or five opinions on it. And so I feel like we did that, and we had some hits and we had some misses, and things that, yeah, I mean, obviously I would have tried to do some things differently if I'd known what the results would have been. But at the time, I feel like we always made the decision that we thought was best, and ran with it.
Adam was and is really, I mean, he's the same guy on stage and off stage. He's genuine, he's caring, he's gifted for sure, but he is a real stable person. Like, that's one of the coolest things about gaining all these friendships over the years is when you can tell that a person is like real and genuine, and you see behind the curtain, so to speak. You see what they're like with their wife or their kids, and that was always something I really appreciated about Adam. Sharon is like his best friend, and he's such a great dad, leads his kids well, shows them who Christ is in his life, and what that means to share Christ with the world. So I think that is kind of what always stuck out to me about my friendship with Adam, is I just really appreciated how he was the same person on and off stage.
And because you guys were, I mean, in Stellar Cart, and we'll move on from Stellar Cart in a minute, but I wanted just to kind of ask this because you guys were trailblazers at the time. I mean, this was maybe back in the day when Christian radio still allowed overdrive guitars, but you guys were a little bit rebellious. You guys were rock and roll. You guys would have a lot of fun. Was there ever any sort of backlash to that, or people trying to, make you a little bit more safe?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, I always thought it was funny how uh, people were scared of the word punk,
Right.
even though it was just a style of music. I think nowadays things are a lot different because you can look up what things mean and you can look up history of things, and people are a little bit, you know, they have a little bit more of a worldview now than they did back in the day. But we did a tour called Punk the Halls just because, and I wrote a song called Punk the Halls, and it's fun, and it's great, and it's hilarious, and it is in no way uh, anti-government or anti-establishment or any of that,
Right.
anti-anything. It's not anti-anything. It's just fun. And I mean, we had people that wouldn't book us because the tour said "Punk the Halls." We had people change the name of the tour on their flyers to hang in their church because they didn't want the word "punk" in
Oh
their
my
church.
goodness.
So it's just stuff like that. And I think there's a thing with branding and certain audiences, and how a lot of radio in the Christian genre is they're safe for your whole family and all that kind of stuff, which is great. And it's definitely a part of a nice thing to just turn on the radio and know that you're going to hear something lyrically that's safe. But I think a lot of times we either wouldn't get a listen, or they'd be like, nah, we can't play that because it's too aggressive, or even though the lyrical content of all of our songs was 100% appropriate all the time.
Yeah.
And it was just the style of the music was was pretty raging. And I mean, I know there's so many bands that have come up against that in the past. Bands like Striper and all those rock and rollers in the 80s and 90s, and rock and rolls of the devil and all that kind of stuff. Even the band I'm on tour with right now, Newsboys, and
Yeah.
those guys. It was just like there's backlash because you're playing music that sounds secular, even though the message is very pure and very encouraging. So it was tough coming up against some of that. From the powers that be, the gatekeepers to the listeners, if you will. Uh, it was a fight sometimes.
When Stellar Cart kind of shifted and began to sort of, I don't want to say the word shut down, but it was time for a new season for all you guys. You joined up and teamed up with another group of, I guess, Christian music pioneers, and that's Audio Adrenaline. Tell me a little bit about that, because it wasn't a long season, but it was definitely something different and something that was I don't want to say experiment, but yeah, something that they tried and ultimately led you to a different place. But yeah, just tell me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, the audio A thing is really, really a cool deal. It was amazing. It was frustrating. It was awesome. It was all kinds of things. One thing, like they asked me to join up and said, hey, would you mind fronting the band? We want to go out on tour, raise some money for the ministry. And I said, sure, let's check it out. And so the first thing we did is we went down to Haiti and visited the Hands and Feet Project, where those guys have been working for the last 13 years, and they started this ministry helping orphan and abandoned kids and trying to keep families together, and just really had a heart for the country and the people of Haiti. And that was I've been on mission trips before, but that was really one of the first times that I connected how powerful music is as far as changing lives and really getting people involved in ministry, and since the ministry was the primary focus of even getting the band together. So we went down to Haiti. It totally rocked my world, changed my life. I was like on fire. Let's go do this thing. Let's go rock out for 100 shows a year and raise millions of dollars for this thing, and keep it going. And so I was in 100%, trying to make it as great as possible. I think we made some really good music. I think we did well to try to preserve some of the fun rock and roll of the past, and yet put my own spin on it, because I just had to be myself. And I honestly, I grew up listening to Audio A and
Yeah.
watching Mark Stewart and stealing all of his moves on stage anyway. So I
Yeah.
mean, we'd go to Spirit West Coast, and I would lose my mind at an Audio Adrenaline show. It was great. So it was fun. It was a dream to get to do something like that. I think ultimately there were a lot of people that were like, yeah, this is great. This is fun to carry on the band and to raise the money. They got it. They got the whole thing. And then there's a whole nother half of people that are like, this is stupid. There's no original members anymore, and it's not audio adrenaline, so don't do it anymore. And so
Mm.
yeah, I get it. I get it on both sides, and it is what it is, and it was great for me. It made me a better singer, made me a better writer, made me a better performer because I
Right.
had to step up my game, and ultimately it led me to doing what I'm doing now, which is solo stuff. I speak on behalf of kids every night on tour. I tell the stories of the least of these, those who are abandoned and need the most help, and I love getting to do it. And I wouldn't be in this situation had I not done the audio A thing. So I'm ultimately thankful for it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that side of it because to be honest, and I'm one of the guys who would sit there and go like, "Come on, this is not even the original lineup anymore. What is going on?" And but now that I hear that there was such a mission and justice about raising money attached to it, I go, "Man, that's awesome."
Yeah.
That you guys were able to, even though it's not the same people, carry out the same vision and really see that vision not die for the sake of these kids. And man, that's awesome. I think now I'm going to be one of those guys who comes to the other side and says, let's resurrect it again.
Yeah, I told Mark, I'm like, hey man, if you ever want to do any shows or if we get a song or whatever you want to tour, I'm still in 100%. So whatever you want to do, I'm in. So yeah, I'm happy to help them. I sell Haiti made stuff on the road at my shows, and it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And well, you just mentioned that you have transitioned now to doing a lot more speaking stuff and sort of continuing on some of that missional focus that Audio Adrenaline had carried. And tell me a little bit about what you're up to now, because you released a solo project, but back in 2017. But it kind of feels like the music. Don't want to say it's become secondary, but you're using your voice in a different way these days a lot. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, now it's one of those things. I'm older. I've got a couple of kiddos in school, and to go out on the road and just play music for the sake of having a career is it just
Yeah.
I don't it's not what I'm passionate about anymore. I love music. I love creating music. I want to continue to make music and have everybody get to listen to it and love it. That's great. But there has to be more to it. I've always been, I mean, from day one with Stellar Cart, we've always been about, hey, let's encourage people with our music, which is awesome, but then let's take it the next step and challenge people to get out and do something, live out the lyrics to these songs. And I think what I'm able to do now is play music and give people a real avenue to go out and be the hands and feet of Jesus and really do something with their lives, do something with what we've been given here. A lot of people are looking for something to do, something to give back, something to help. And I love getting to give that to them through the speaking side, advocating on behalf of the kids, and just continue to rock out with music too.
What about being the hands and feet of Jesus and about these kids? What was that moment for you that really just changed you?
I think just seeing the difference between kids on the street in these countries, whether it's Haiti or Africa, or we just got back from Indonesia not too long ago, and just seeing this extreme poverty and these kids that don't really have anybody looking after them. They don't have any way to education. They've really got nothing, and the life expectancy is less than a kindergartner, and so that's crazy. And seeing the difference between one of those kids and then these kids that are in these villages that have sponsored kids or programs that are taking care of them, and they're healthy and they look great and they're thriving and they have a chance to just grow up and do whatever they want to do, and it's totally different. It's incredible.
So you're on tour with the Newsboys right now, sharing about this nightly. What are some of the highlights of sharing about it and some of the conversations you've been able to have with people that are getting on board? How does that look each night, I guess, is what I'm saying for Adam Agee sharing about these opportunities.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's incredible to get to talk about it and then to see people in action, to see people raising their hands and taking that step of, I'm going to take care of another human life, and I'm going to go ahead and respond to this, and I'm going to make this evening not about me just having fun, but I'm going to really live out the words of Jesus and take care of these kids. And so many stories of people who come up to me after the show and talk about, oh man, this kid that I sponsored grew up and he went to college and he just graduated and he became a doctor, or he's a preacher back in his village now. And I've had adults come up to me that say, hey, I was a sponsored child in Ethiopia, or I was a sponsored child here or there, and it really does work. And thank you for what you're doing. It's crazy stuff, and it's just amazing to see how many lives are changed. Obviously, the kids, but then the families and people that sponsor the kids too. You can see how their lives have changed too because of it.
Yeah, so you're doing this on tour with the Newsboys right now. But tell me what your plans are for the new year, because something tells me you're going to be pretty busy in the new year as well.
Yeah, we finish up this tour here in a few days, and then a little bit of time off for Christmas, and then start out on Winter Jam in January. So I think it's 45 shows or something right there at the beginning of the year, and gonna play some music and do the same kind of thing, talking about the kiddos on Winter Jam as well.
That's incredible. I feel like you're probably going to be a little bit sick of the Newsboys by the end of the year.
Maybe, I don't know. The good news is I like those guys. We got to
Yeah,
tour them back in 2007 when Peter was still with the band, with Stellar Cart, and then in 2015 with Audio, I got to tour them with Tate, and then now doing it solo. It's pretty fun. I
that's
I love
awesome.
all those guys, and we've had a blast on the road.
That's awesome. Yeah, those guys bring it every night, and always positive spirits. Every single conversation I've ever had with Tate or Duncan, I feel like is memorable, and I always walk away going, I don't even know what to think about that, because they're just so energetic and
Yeah,
so
they're
full of energy, and you can't. I don't know if I don't think I've figured them out yet.
no, they are full on all the time, and yeah, that's exactly right. They're incredible.
Well, man, I want to talk about just a kind of a few fun things, if that's all right, because I know you're a sports guy, and we've played some golf together, and it was not my finest outing. And I'm telling you, when I move down to Nashville, I'll be bringing the clubs, and we'll get out there together.
Come
But
on.
yeah, what's your favorite sport to play when you're not on the road?
I like to play basketball and golf. That's pretty much what I do now.
Is Toby Mack as good of a golfer as he is an artist?
Well, unfortunately, right now he is a better golfer than I am.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, he gets to play a lot more than I do, so I'm gonna catch him here in the next couple years. He's getting a little older, and I'm gonna get him.
Well, I feel like we maybe need to have like a Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Adam Agee versus Toby Mac type golf special.
We could definitely do that. It would be funny.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, and then you're always playing basketball as well. And tell me about like some of the cool experience you get to have, because you get to play a lot of arenas, and there's a lot of adjacent gyms and stuff where you get to play basketball. Has there been any real cool spots you've gotten to play a little ball in the afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten to play at some really cool arenas, some NBA arenas and some college places. And yeah, anytime we can get to play on the real court, that's awesome. But usually we're playing in the main arena, so the practice courts are really cool. And most of the time we ask if we can, and then sometimes we just kind of sneak in there and play.
Yeah.
But most colleges are really really great to us, and even yeah, a few of the NBA arenas, especially like Indianapolis, they're really great, as far as taking care of us when we're playing in there.
I want to ask you too, because I ask everybody, what's the favorite artist that you've gotten to tour with, and who is one artist or band that you just go, if man, I will do that tour for free. I will pay to be on tour with them sometime.
Well, there's none of those anymore. I got bills to pay and kids to feed,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I uh, I actually do love being on tour with the Newsboys. I mean, Tate and those guys are just a riot, and it's like family now. One guy that I'm looking forward to doing a tour with would be Toby. I still haven't done a tour with him. We've done shows together, but haven't done a full on tour. So I think it's probably because we might not show up to the shows because we'll just be out golfing all day and just skip it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
maybe that's the reason so far. But yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Toby Mac, Adam Agee would be a killer tour. Although I still think it would be pretty sweet if we had like a Newsboys, Toby Mac, Adam Agee, Audio Adrenaline, Kevin Max, like just mix everybody all in, and everyone's just like, you have no idea who's singing for who, which night.
I think that you never know. You never know. That might happen.
It, knowing the Christian music fans' luck, it'll probably happen, and it'll be a cruise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not that I'm poking fun or making or bugging anybody, but tell me, like, tour. You've been on the road, van, trailer, bus, and then flying, everything. Do you have any crazy stories of just like chaos that has ensued on the road?
Oh man, there's 1,000 of them. We've I don't know. I don't even know which one to tell. I mean, we've done all kinds of crazy things. We've hit deer and uh we've flooded hotel rooms. We flooded an entire hotel one time accidentally. Um
I need to
we
know
were
how this happened.
Yeah, we were in South Carolina and we were playing at a beach hotel. We were playing in the ballroom at the bottom of the hotel, some youth conference, and it was great. We had a killer show. It was awesome. We all go back up to our rooms on like the 10th floor, and then we go to bed, and it's me and Cody in one room, and Jordan and Brian in the other room, and I hear this running down the hallway, and I look, and it's like midnight or 1 in the morning. Look outside, and it looks like the SWAT team is coming over to Jordan's room.
Oh my goodness.
What is going on? And so I texted him. I'm like, what are you doing? And he just texted and said he's like, our room is flooded. And I said, what? And apparently what had happened was Brian had used the restroom in the hotel room
Mm-hmm.
and they just went to bed. And apparently the toilet just kept running and running and running because he got a call from the front desk saying, hey, what are you guys doing up there? And he's like, we're just sleeping. And so then they're like, okay. And they called back like 20 minutes later and said, hey, what are you guys doing? Are you having a party or what's going on up there? He's like, we're just sleeping. She said, well, can you please just get out and or just check your bathroom or something, check your room. So he gets out of bed and steps in like a foot of water.
Oh
Like
my
their whole
goodness.
room had flooded. And it had flooded from the 10th floor all the way down to like the 6th floor.
Oh jeez.
It's like running down the walls through the light fixtures. And so we ran downstairs and got in the van and drove away.
Oh man. Did you get your security deposit back? Probably
I
not.
don't know. I have no idea.
Oh
I've,
man.
I've blocked it out of my memory. But yeah, that's just a little piece of all the fun that we had on the road.
Well, I'll tell you, like when my first tour ever, I was 18 years old, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was like being a merch guy, and you guys were like the first band that kind of was nice to me on the road. I guess
Oh,
I was doing merch for this band called Falling Up, and I feel like I need to do a podcast episode on those guys because they were some of the most
yeah.
talented musicians, but some of the most antisocial people you'll ever meet. And it was really tough because I didn't know these guys, and it was like you and Jordan who really were I got to talk to, and then later on I got to tour with you guys, and I think we spent like a summer on a bus together. But this is the story that I'm afraid to bring up because it was like a disappointed father when you just shake your head at someone and you just know they're ticked and you don't even want to say anything. So this is what happened. We're in San Francisco and we had an off day, and I don't know what happened, but I think I ate some like hot wings or something, and me in the bathroom, it was not good. It was like I was having a rough time, and I just lost a little bit track of time, and I go outside, and the bus is gone, and I'm like, what happened? And I knew bus call was coming, and I looked at my phone and go, oh my goodness, I missed it by like 15 minutes. So I'm calling frantically anyone on the bus, but everyone's gone to sleep, including yourself. And I finally get a hold of you about 30 minutes later. You're about 35 minutes gone now, outside San Francisco. And I say, Adam, I'm at the hotel. And you're just like, are you kidding me? And then the bus comes back. And like a bus is not like, I mean, those things take a while to get off the highway, turn around, get back on the highway. And And when I walked back on that bus, you were just standing there, and I was just like, I was afraid to talk to you for a week, man, because I was, I was young and whatever. But
That's awesome.
that's my Adam memory.
Oh,
Disappointed
man.
dad just shaking his head at me as I walk on the bus. McCabe, the Canadian, can't tell time apparently.
That's amazing.
Well, dude, it's been great catching up with you. I know Winter Jam's going to be awesome. I hope you enjoy the rest of this tour with the Newsboys. And before we sign off, I want to close this podcast episode with something that you've sang on. It can be Stellar Card, Audio A, or some of your solo stuff. Would you give us a song to close out this podcast with?
Yeah, man. Why don't you play my newest song, "Fighting for You," from the solo album?
All right, well, we will do that. Well, Adam, it's great to catch up with you, man. Have a great tour. You guys can catch Adam Agee on the road right now with Newsboys. Although by the time this episode airs, he will be on tour with Newsboys again on Winter Jam. So make sure you go hang out with Adam, say hey, tell him that you got to listen to the podcast. And this is Adam Agee fighting for you here on the Overflow Beyond the Music podcast.
You're worth more to me than all of heaven's glory. Call on my name, child, be still and know I'm fighting for you.
Yeah, huge thanks to my buddy Adam Agee for joining me today. Make sure you go follow him at Adam Agee. That's at ADAMAGEE. Man, I almost started to try and find some words to correspond with those letters there, but I realized that we don't have time for us to figure all that out right now. Go follow him on Instagram. Go say hey to him on Winter Jam Tour 2019. That's all we got for this episode. Let's listen to a little throwback Stellar Cart as we close off episode 4. We'll see you in the new year. We'll see you in 2019 with episode 5 coming at you fresh. And I'm your host, Josh McCabe. Thank you so much for joining us on the Overflow Beyond the Music podcast. Here's a little throwback Stellar Cart as we close out the episode.
Let's go! On the wheel of my feet and sweat running down my forehead and cars passing me like we're in a race. I don't know what danger